You've eaten poison, probably this week, maybe this morning. Don't panic, unless you recently sprinkled nutmeg, ate beans, or touched a potato that looked a little too green. Because some of your favorite, harmless, foods? They're straight up biochemical chaos in disguise. Welcome to the delicious horror story hiding in your kitchen. You've probably sprinkled nutmeg on a latte or some holiday cookies without fearing for your life. But here's the thing. Nutmeg has a dark side. A very trippy, very hospital-worthy dark side. Nutmeg contains myristicin, a compound that, in high doses, acts kind of like a psychedelic crossed with a nightmare. People on the internet, of course, have tried to get high off nutmeg, only to discover it's more 12-hour hallucination and vomiting than fun Friday night. We're talking blurred vision, panic, nausea, heart palpitations, and the overwhelming sensation that you've made a huge mistake. And it doesn't take that much, just 2 to 3 teaspoons can kick off the chaos. That means you're always just a few reckless shakes away from a DIY horror movie in your spice rack. Even historically, nutmeg was obsessively valued not for flavor, but for its supposed medicinal and psychoactive powers. In 17th century Europe, people literally went to war over it. Spoiler. Not because it pairs well with eggnog. Today, nutmeg is FDA approved as a food product, but it's also one of the few household items that can absolutely wreck you if misused. So yeah, maybe go easy on the pumpkin spice this season. It's not just basic, it's a little bit poisonous. Cassava sounds like something you'd find in a Whole Foods smoothie bowl. But plot twist, it's loaded with cyanide. Yes, that cyanide, the one that kills you. Raw cassava contains compounds called cyanogenic glycosides, which, when chewed or improperly processed, release hydrogen cyanide. That's right. Eating cassava wrong is like asking your digestive system to roll the dice with actual poison gas. And yet, cassava is a staple food for over 800 million people worldwide. In parts of Africa, Asia, and Latin America, it's as common as potatoes. The trick is, you have to prep it right. Wash it, soak it, ferment it, cook it, pray a little. If you skip a step, your dinner may fight back with neurotoxicity. In the worst cases, poorly processed cassava has caused everything from paralysis to death. There's even a specific neurological disease in some regions called konzo, which is linked to chronic cyanide exposure from, you guessed it, bad cassava. So yes, that trendy cassava chip in your snack aisle? It's basically a detoxed landmine. Enjoy with caution, or at least read the label before you turn your kitchen into a Breaking Bad prequel. Kidney beans, the underrated hero of chili night, full of protein, fiber, and hemagglutinin toxins. Wait, what? Yep, red kidney beans are one of the most toxic legumes you can buy in the grocery store. If eaten raw or undercooked, they contain high levels of phytohemagglutinin, a toxin that causes your red blood cells to clump together like a bad group project. It also causes vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, and a fun little visit. And the worst part? You only need to eat 4 or 5 raw beans to trigger symptoms. That's not even a full spoonful. Just a tragic little handful of regret. This is why you're supposed to boil dried kidney beans for at least 10 minutes. Not slow cooked, not just soaked, boiled. Otherwise, they get more toxic before they get safer, because life is full of fun little paradoxes like that. So if your slow cooker recipe says, add dry kidney beans and let them simmer, you might want to call your enemies and suggest it to them instead. Consider it passive-aggressive culinary revenge. Rhubarb. That weird celery impersonator that only gets invited to the party when strawberries are involved. The stalks? Totally safe. The leaves, though, straight up dangerous. Rhubarb leaves contain oxalic acid, a compound that can shut down your kidneys like a bitter little assassin. In large doses, it's lethal. In small doses, it's still enough to make you violently sick. Symptoms include nausea, burning mouth, difficulty breathing, and that, I just ate a science experiment, vibe. For reference, oxalic acid is also used in bleach and rust remover. So yeah, you don't want it inside you unless you're trying to clean out your soul. Historically, people used rhubarb as medicine and even as a purge, because old medicine was wild. But plenty also died from confusing the parts. The stalk is tart and tangy. The leaf? Well, it's nature's version of clickbait, looks pretty. Ruins your week. Today, every cookbook reminds you to toss the leaves. But someone, somewhere, always thinks, how bad could it be? Answer. Bad enough to make you Google your own symptoms in terror. Mashed, fried, baked, poisoned? Potatoes seem harmless, until they start turning green. That green hue? It's not just an aesthetic problem. It's a warning sign that your spud is producing solanine, a natural neurotoxin designed to fend off insects, but also very capable of messing you up. Solanine can cause nausea, hallucinations, paralysis, and in extreme cases, death. And the craziest part? This transformation happens slowly, right on your countertop. Expose potatoes to light for too long, and they basically arm themselves. In history, entire families have gotten sick, or worse, from eating solanine-loaded potatoes during food shortages. The symptoms? Burning throat, cramping, dizziness, and the deeply unfortunate realization that dinner was actually a threat. So if your potato looks more like the Hulk than a side dish, toss it, or bury it in a deep hole with garlic and holy water. Honey is one of the only foods that doesn't spoil. Archaeologists have found jars of it in ancient Egyptian tombs, still edible. Magical, right? Well, mostly. For infants under 1 year, honey is a potential death trap. It can carry Clostridium botulinum spores, which are harmless to adults, but can germinate in a baby's immature gut and cause infant botulism, a rare but potentially fatal form of paralysis. And for adults, if you stumble across mad honey, a wild variety harvested from rhododendron flowers, it can cause hallucinations, dangerously low blood pressure, nausea, and heart rhythm chaos. Ancient warriors used it as a weapon, literal trip honey traps to take out invading armies. Nature was petty like that. So yes, honey is sweet and sacred, but also, don't mess with it outside the approved use case. And definitely don't go eating 2.000-year-old tomb honey like it's an Indiana Jones snack pack. Starfruit looks like it came from a cartoon, shiny, golden, and shaped like a star. But if you have kidney problems, eating just one can be lethal. This fruit contains neurotoxins that healthy kidneys can usually filter out. But if your kidneys aren't functioning at 100%, these toxins build up fast and start attacking your nervous system. We're talking hiccups, confusion, seizures, and even death from a fruit salad. What's worse, even small amounts can trigger a reaction in people with kidney disease, and it can happen within hours. So while TikTok influencers slice it for aesthetics, nephrologists quietly scream into their stethoscopes. Moral of the story? Starfruit may look like a whimsical garnish from paradise, but in the wrong body, it's basically a fruit-flavored executioner. Fugu, pufferfish, is Japan's deadliest delicacy, served raw in high-end sushi restaurants. It contains tetrodotoxin, a nerve toxin 1.200 times more lethal than cyanide. One fish has enough poison to kill 30 adults. And there's no antidote. Chefs must train for years and pass government exams to even serve it. But accidents still happen. A single slip of the knife while removing the liver or ovaries can turn your sashimi into a last meal. Symptoms of tetrodotoxin poisoning? Tingling lips, paralysis, total body shutdown, and then, if you're lucky, death by respiratory failure while remaining completely conscious. It's basically locked-in syndrome via seafood. Why do people still eat it? For the thrill, the status, and, let's be honest, the bragging rights. So yes, fugu is elegant, expensive, exquisite, but it's also a biological panic button wrapped in rice. Elderberries are often found in cough syrup, teas, jams, and witchy home remedies. But here's the kicker: raw elderberries, bark, and seeds contain cyanogenic glycosides, which break down into cyanide in your digestive tract. Eat them raw or undercooked, and you could be rewarded with nausea, vomiting, dizziness, and a pretty convincing simulation of death. This isn't folklore. It's actual plant-based bioterrorism disguised as a wellness trend. In fact, there have been outbreaks of elderberry poisoning from homemade juice and wine. The berries are safe when properly processed, but a rogue smoothie or poorly cooked batch can absolutely ruin your week, and possibly your pulse. So go ahead, brew your elderberry syrup, But maybe double check that recipe first. And if grandma says, it's just like how her grandma did it, maybe call poison control in advance. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, unless you eat the seeds. Apple seeds contain amygdalin, another cyanide-releasing compound that sounds like it belongs in a spy novel. Your body converts it to hydrogen cyanide, the same chemical used in lethal gas chambers. Now, you'd need to chew and eat a lot of seeds to actually poison yourself, somewhere between 100 to 200 seeds. But in concentrated form, 1 apple's worth of seeds can still deliver a very unpleasant experience. Especially if you blend them up and drink them in a smoothie, which some detox bloggers actually suggest. Don't. Fun fact: the seeds of cherries, apricots, peaches, and even almonds contain similar toxins. That sweet, nutty flavor in almond extract? It comes from bitter almonds, which are illegal to sell raw in the US because they're so toxic. So yeah, apples are great. Just maybe don't eat their angry little cores of doom. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy weird, slightly horrifying facts delivered with a smile. See you next time.